Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwartner, and today we are going to talk about business simulations with Rob Brodo, President and CEO of Avantext. Welcome, Rob.
Hello, Gerhard. Happy New Year to you. Pleasure to be with you
Happy
today.
New Year to you too. This year is getting old now. It's just a few more days.
That's right. We're ready.
So we are inviting all the sales leaders and CIOs and CSOs to think about the new year in terms of an opportunity to help salespeople and business leaders perform better with simulations. And you are the go-to person. You are the expert, and you've done it for so many years. Tell us briefly, what does Avantex do? What does your solution look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Advantex is a world leader in the design, development, and delivery of what we call simulation centric learning, meaning that every single solution that we design and implement for our clients uses a digital simulation as the primary vehicle to build skills. Now, some people really don't know what that means. And so I explain it to them in this way. Much like a pilot who flies an airplane goes through a flight simulator to learn how to fly the plane, our business simulations help professionals learn how to perform their jobs through a simulation. So, one of the most important things that salespeople need to be able to do is practice the craft of being a sales professional. And those sorts of simulations enable them to do that.
Well, salespeople normally do this through role play in sales training. Why is your solution better than what salespeople learn in either a classroom or a virtual classroom or on their own?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I'll share with you this role plays are great. We use role plays, but they do have limits to them. And one of the most interesting things that simulations enable us to do is go to scale. And in today's environment, where many salespeople are running a global account, a local account, are dealing with the internal team, the customers team, having the ability to train anytime, anywhere, and at mass becomes very attractive to the clients that we work with.
And what are some of the skills that are fairly easy to develop faster than with other methods?
Yeah. So I will tell you right away the first most important skill is the skill of business acumen for sales professionals. What do I mean by business acumen? It is the ability for me to understand my customer's business. What is my customer strategy? What are their metrics of success? How are they driving to success? And most importantly, how can I, as a strategic advisor, sit down, engage in a business dialogue, understand their strategy, understand their metrics, and position the value of my solutions to the customer from a business perspective, not just selling a product or a service, but really helping them understand the value that I bring to them. Simulations are fantastic at doing that.
Well, there are three things that come to mind when I listen to you. When you want to achieve conversation mastery so that the conversation is fluid and organic. Secondly, you want to hit all the right buttons and talk about the topics that are relevant to the customer and not to the salesperson. And then there's the third thing, which I think is so important, is what you just said, is creating value and pointing out how the solution leads to improved value for the customer that everybody's, oh, I focus these days and budgets are very tight. So what is the result? How long does that simulation learning stick?
Yep. So the process of using simulations in learning itself probably takes anywhere from an 8 to 16 hour investment of time. And that's not insignificant. It takes practice, it takes a couple of repetitions, just like the real world. If you want to get good at anything, you're going to have to make some investment in time. What we are seeing when you have the opportunity to have reinforcement, is that those skills can stick forever. To this day, Gerhard, I tell you, especially this time of year around Christmas time, when I exchange holiday greetings with all of our former clients and our participants, to this day, they'll say, Rob, oh my gosh, I was in that program in 2003, and I still remember, those key learnings about understanding my customer's business. I also will share, to your point, having a fluid conversation. The more that you practice and the more that you do it, the more fluid that conversation is. And you're not stopping and pausing and thinking about how am I coming across to my customer. It becomes natural. And so when you continue to do it, you get better and better at it. So it can last forever.
Yeah, what I like about what you're saying is that there's so many sensory experiences that come through a conversation, and that experiential learning is so much superior. It's almost like teaching people how to swim out of the pool, and show them all the arm movements and show them diagrams. And it's totally different element when they get in the pool and start swimming. So to me, skills building is like swimming and doing it live with a good instructor. So how can sales leaders use that as a tool to measure and track the performance? Do you have something that shows tangible results that people are really getting it?
Yeah. So we are measuring results in two very distinct ways. The first way is a fairly traditional before and after knowledge. So there's pre-tests, seeing how they're doing, there's post-tests, seeing how they're doing, and inevitably, we're tracking to about 40 to 50% improvement in just raw knowledge and skills through the simulation-centric process. But to me, that's not good enough. To me, I want to be able to track real revenue performance. So we have about, I'd say, 4 or 5 major global clients who have integrated our work into Salesforce.com, where we are tracking monthly their improvements in revenue, in profitable revenue, and the achievement of their targets as they've accomplished the sales training. And so as we go back, and we just finished, obviously, our account reviews with some of our key accounts this year, we're able to literally track the improved performance. And there's a direct correlation between those who really worked hard and those who performed well in the simulation testing and the real world revenue performance. And ultimately, to me, that's the best way to do it.
So you have sort of a performance champion leaderboard.
Yes, that's right. And Salesforce.com, for some of our clients who use it, it's very flexible to be able to do that. And then what's interesting is once you have data and sales leaders are able to have a different coaching conversation, well, that also gives you the opportunity for performance improvement, meaning that somebody who may have gone through the simulation and is not performing, the sales leader now has a different sort of experience to say to somebody, listen, you need to spend more time understanding the challenges of your customer. You need to read more in the newspaper. You need to follow them on social media. You need to have more inquisitory conversations with your customer. So we're now actually seeing sales leaders develop a better coaching methodology through the use of simulations on their top performers, which is really an interesting side note.
So can you do you video all those simulations?
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It really depends on the client culture.
Right.
It's interesting today in the world of technology with so many of our clients who are very, very serious about security. I mean, I'm talking about network
Yeah.
and technical
Okay.
security. Sometimes they don't want us to. Sometimes they do. But what we also do is we will enable each participant to record themselves. And one of our simulation platforms actually has animated characters that they're talking to. They can record themselves, and then they can kind of give themselves some self-feedback, but that video is not accessible to anybody else.
Right. It's interesting. How complex can a simulation become? I'm thinking about sales engineers that have to, master a totally different knowledge universe than the average, B2B
Hmm.
salesperson. Um,
Yeah, it's a great
how do
question,
you,
Gerhard. Yeah.
yeah, give me an example.
Yep. So as you were mentioning that, immediately came to mind one of the client projects I worked on this year with a very large global chemical company. And their sales engineers are experts in the mixing of acrylics that go into the manufacturing of base products. Now, these sales engineers are brilliant in terms of what they do. You ask them anything about the molecules and the formulations and all that, they're incredible. But you ask them something about the sales process, and they're like, what sales process? So, one of the things that we did this year, we actually were able to work with them to identify what is the entire sales process. How do I play a role in that? And what skills do I need to engage with my customer and the technical people on the customer side in a different way, and then track all of that? So, that's the answer.
Awesome. So there's an audience question. Somebody's
Yeah.
asking, Rob, Brodo, some of the things you mentioned about correlating learning to profitable outcome inside Salesforce.com are music to most sales enablement teams,
Yeah.
for it should. Why do you think so many of them still today do not embrace things to that level of depth? It's an excellent question.
It's a great question. And hi, John. Nice to see you. I'll tell you, there's an easy answer to that, unfortunately. The answer is that they're scared of it. They're scared of the accountability. They are scared of the measurement. And what I've found is that this is the point where it's going to separate your elite performers from your good performers from the poor performers. And
Right.
so I think that's the answer. I think it's pretty simple.
Well, maybe my answer would be a simple fear. People don't want to expose themselves where they have a brilliant excuse, which is this is not realistic. And I've been doing sales training for many years before I started Selling Power. And um, I always explain to people back the situation may be fictitious in a simulation. However, the behavior is realistic.
Right.
It's totally real. Because once you're face to face with somebody, you step out of their character, you step into that role. And I think that your simulation tool would also be a good tool for any actor who wants to do better.
That's right. Absolutely. And Gerhard, what's interesting, we're just on the cusp right now of breakthrough technologies that will enable us to infuse all of these simulations with artificial intelligence. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be here tomorrow or 2024, but within the next few years, we at Advantex have already started working on the prototypes of where a sales professional can engage with what we call a symbot. And so the first few prototypes that we've built are in negotiations. What are the real hard parts of selling? How do you position value? How to negotiate? And to your question and to your point, the symbot is being trained on real life examples of real customers and how they push back, how they raise objections. And then the symbot is engaging with a salesperson, a real salesperson, and you throw it all into the mix, and the learning is even at a different level.
That is terrific. And when do you think that will be on the market?
Um, our goal, our plan right now is to start building them in 2024. I have 2 or 3 contracts in place to start doing beyond prototypes. Once we can unlock the ability to scale it, I truly believe by the end of 2025, so we're still 18 months away, but by the second part of 2025, we should be at scalability for coaching, negotiations, introduction to my value proposition, all sorts of, we have planned about 6 different SimBots that focus in on critical skills for salespeople.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about your customer base. What
Yeah.
customer types or what industry categories can benefit the most from your solution?
Yeah, we at Advantex focus on mostly large organizations. Those are organizations in what I call the Fortune 1000 and above. So our primary industries include healthcare, which are the large pharmaceutical companies. We have a lot of high tech right now, companies that are in the semiconductor space, semiconductor equipment manufacturing space. We have quite a bit of professional services right now as well. Going from law firms to architectural firms to consulting firms. That's really been a very big growth this year because a lot of those professional services people are selling. And then I'd say the
Yeah.
other big one is the chemical industry, where it's a much more complex sale, where it's not just the account manager, but you have, as you mentioned, Gerhard, the technical people and so forth, who really have to have sales skills to be able to close the deals.
What I find it fascinating here in this conversation, I'm realizing that we live in a world of immense complexity, and with AI, you can achieve simplicity in just about everything. So
Yeah.
I think that simulation paired with AI is going to be a total game changer.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. And to your point, AI can take all of the chaos and make it simple. Give people the simple things to practice, to include in my daily work, in my fluid conversations, and do it whenever they want. And that's a really
Yeah.
nice thing.
So can you also record conversations and then transcribe them through AI and then summarize them and give people feedback?
That's right. So the entire AI-driven conversations are recorded. They are automatically transcribed. And then I'll take it even further. The AI technology goes through the recordings and then actually gives you individualized feedback. Oh, you should have said this here, or you could have said that here, or you did a great job with your opening. And so it actually will score you relative to the competencies that you're trying to develop. And that's all part of the platform.
Well, I think this solution that you're developing, that you already, make available in the market to the great benefit of those companies.
Prototypes,
Yeah,
yes.
I know, but I think it's going to be a huge game changer. But
Yeah,
your, you know, your basic idea that you have a tool, your business simulation tool, um, reminds me of a saying by a Russian general, Suvorov. He says, "Train hard to fight easy." And I think your simulation tool allows salespeople to step in a more difficult situation than what they're dealing with in reality. And the training may be hard, but I think it's necessary to perform at a much higher level than your competition. And that's why the companies that you're helping are growing.
that's right. It's funny you mentioned that. That's a great quote. The quote that I live by is actually a quote by one of the Philadelphia Eagles' former head coaches, Dick Vermeil, who
Yeah.
once said very famously, "Nobody ever got better by practicing less." So if you give people the opportunity to practice in an environment, that they can get better, the more they do it, the better they're going to get. It's a simple formula, but you have to have the ambition, the motivation, the commitment to want to do that. We're giving them the tools to be able to have it right in front of them.
So let's share one more thing, which is your website where people can learn more.
Yep, absolutely. It is www.advantex.com. And here you can kind of see the spelling of Advantex. And that's our website. And we have lots of great stuff up there, lots of really interesting infographics towards the end of the year that people can download for free, white papers, blogs, all sorts of great stuff.
Well, thank you, Rob, for helping improve the profession of selling one salesperson and one simulation at a time. Appreciate you.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Wonderful to see you again. Thanks, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.